All right, not sure if you can see this super clearly, but it is Wednesday, December 9th. Couple of updates before we jump into this video. The first of which is that in a previous vlog, I mentioned that I'm going to be taking a bit of a break from poker in December. The reason for that is that my dad actually just got ankle replacement surgery just a week ago, right after Thanksgiving, and duty calls. So my primary focus right now is to take care of my dad. The good news is that the recovery is going well overall. It's usually about a 3 to 9 month recovery process for ankle replacement surgeries, particularly for a elderly person. It's going to take a little bit longer, so we're just going through all the right steps with physical therapy, and everything's going well so far. So I just want to thank you all in advance. I know a lot of you are really kind out there and are often wishing me kind words, so I just want to thank you all in advance for that. The poker has taken a bit of a backseat in terms of playing this month. I haven't put in a session just yet, but I did put in a ton of volume in November, which I've mentioned. And a lot of the videos that you're going to see in the coming weeks will be documenting all of those fun sessions played in November. The other thing to mention is that I am still working on a giveaway in the form of t-shirts. The problem is that due to COVID, the t-shirt friend that I'm working with is on a bit of a delay. I recently got a logo created finally, and it looks like this. It's a picture of a lock, which is a play on my last name, of course, and it reads Lock It Up. So pretty fun project that I worked on my good friend Eric with to get this created. And as mentioned, we're in the process of getting t-shirts made, so be on the lookout for those as soon as I can get those into production. I will be doing a round of giveaways related to the t-shirts. These are just decal stickers that I'm also sampling at the moment. I'll be throwing in these as well when the t-shirts come out. So just a fun update for me personally to have a logo for the channel, or a graphic, whatever you want to call it. And it's a very common saying with Lock It Up. So pretty cool all in all. But let's go wrap it up for this particular intro. Let's hop into the vlog, and I'll continue to keep you updated as we move into 2021. All right, it's Wednesday, November 11th. Shout out to the veterans out there. Thank you to the service members. We are out here at Alcatraz, a place that needs no introduction. And apologies, this isn't a little bit more personal, but we've been instructed to keep the face coverings on at all times. And yeah, Alcatraz is also known as The Rock, not This Rock. And yeah, two very well-known movies you should know, one of which is The Rock with Sean Connery, which is a fictional story. And the other is Escape from Alcatraz with Clint Eastwood, and that was actually based on a true story. That movie came out in 1979 and was inspired by true events that took place in 1962, I believe. Quick fun fact about Clint Eastwood: I've actually parked his car before when I used to work in valet. And contrary to what you might stereotype him to drive based on movies such as Gran Torino, he actually drives an Audi A8. So just a fun fact there. And yeah, it's $40 to do the day tour. So just 2 standard raises if you play 2-5 or 3-5 live, no limit. And yeah, there's also a night tour option, which I don't recommend at the moment because they're not serving alcoholic beverages and kind of defeats the purpose of a night tour if you can't drink. And just in case you guys are wondering, I am here with some friends. This is Gil, Anthony, Ricardo, who you've met, Shay in the middle, Deanna on the far end here. And can one of you guys say something just so they know that you aren't CGI imposed?
He's really not a loser.
I am not real.
Hey.
Oh, do
Yeah, that's a wrap. All right, back at it on another Sunday. Not sure how long I'm gonna play today. I had a few too many beverages last night and I currently have a headache, so I think that constitutes a mini hangover, but how long I play will depend on how well I can make decisions. I'll probably take a little bit longer to make the decisions today just to make sure I don't make any blunders, and hopefully players won't pick up on that. Hopefully I don't throw up on the table because that would be an obvious tell. But yeah, just gonna get into it, try to play some good poker. All right, closing things out. Didn't play super long. Started at 8:45 in the morning and it's now 12:15, so just a 3.5-hour session. A little bit short on the number of hands, so it won't be super long in that sense, but I'll try to dig a little bit deeper with the analysis to still make it worthwhile. In this first hand, we are playing 5-handed. Cutoff, who's a pretty tight player but does have some moves, raises it to $15. I call from the button with pocket fours and the small blind calls as well. 3 ways to a flop of ace 3-3 with 2 diamonds. Small blind checks, cutoff continuation bets for $25. I make the call and small blind folds. The turn comes in 9 of clubs and he checks it, and I'm not exactly sure if he's doing this to pot control with a pair of aces or if he has another type of holding that he's just trying to get to showdown. So with that in mind, I decided to just check it back. River comes a 10 of clubs, action checks through, and he tables 7-10 of diamonds for the flopped flush draw that river to pair. So I do lose this one, but I get some additional info about this player. In this next hand, we're playing 8-handed. Low jack raises to $20. I make a loose call from the cutoff with deuce 5 of clubs and the small blind calls as well. 3 ways to a flop of ace 6-4 with 2 clubs, so I flop the flush draw and a gutter ball. Action checks to me. I bet $40, small blind calls, and cutoff puts in a check raise to $120. We're playing over 1K deep, so I decide to make the call and small blind gets out of the way. The turn comes the 4 of diamonds and the burn card actually gets exposed, which is a 9 of clubs. So a bit of a good news, bad news type situation. I have better info about what cards are still available in the deck, but bad news because just one less card to make a flush. When he checks, I do feel like he's split between several holdings here, either pocket aces where I'm dead, ace king, ace queen, which I still have decent equity against, and of course superior flush draws, which is not good for my hand. So with seeing the burned 9 of clubs, I decide to just check it back. River comes a 3 of hearts, so I make the straight. When he checks, I'm going to go for a bet fold, looking to target primarily ace king and ace queen. And if he raises, I'm just going to have to fold, as that would indicate aces full more often than not. I fire $250, and he's in the tank for quite a while, and ultimately releases his hand. The way he looked at his hand sort of indicated that he may have had a bigger flush draw. So with that in mind, I'm happy that the clubs didn't come through, and I take this hand down. This next one is 4-handed. The small blind buys the button. Player in the big blind position raises to $15. I'm in the cutoff with ace 10 offsuit and I 3-bet it to $50. Player in the big blind calls. We go heads up to a flop of ace 5-3 rainbow. When he checks, I decide to check it back for deception, hope to let him catch up with a hand such as Broadway type holdings that can make a pair. We go to a turn of a deuce of clubs, and when he checks, he's not going to be improved on this card that often, but I just can't check again, so I fire $40 and he folds. This next hand is fairly interesting. It's 5-handed. Small blind buys the button. I raise it to $15 from the cutoff with ace deuce of clubs. The button puts in a 3-bet to $45, and only I make the call. Heads up to a flop of 5-4-3 with 2 hearts, so I flop a wheel on a flush draw board. I check, button bets $45, and it's close between a call and a check raise. I think the more common line is a check raise in this spot. That said, if I'm taking a check raise line, obviously a hand like 6-7 is a better hand to do so. Not just because it's the nuts, but because it turns a bit better than ace deuce. And sometimes people will want to see a clean card on the turn before piling money, and I can understand that approach. So with all that in mind, I decide to just call and look to leverage on a clean turn. The 4th street comes the king of spades. So turn is clean, and the king of spades does put a second flush draw on the board. I check with the intention to check raise, and unfortunately, button checks back. Looking back though, I think button is probably going to be checking back at a decent frequency for pot control on this card. I would have liked to see cards such as an 8 through jack on this turn instead, as I think those cards may garner more bets from the button. But as played, I check and button checks back. The river comes the 6 of hearts, so not the greatest card, but I'm going to try to go for some value even though it's going to be difficult to get called. I decide to fire $100, and after going into the tank for a little while, the button makes the call. I table my hand and it's good. The button later told me that she had a king of hearts in her hand, so that's pretty interesting. If she's not firing the turn after binking top pair, my hope of check raising turn was probably never going to happen against this particular opponent. It would have been interesting though if she had turned her hand into a bluff on the river, given that she does block hearts. And if she had put in a river raise, I think it would have been very difficult for me to make the call. But it didn't come to that luckily, and I take this one down. This next hand is 6-handed. I raise it to $20 from the button with a non-premium suited holding, king 5 of spades, and only these small blind calls. Heads up to a flop of 7-5 deuce with 2 diamonds. He checks, I bet $25. He makes the call. The turn comes to 3 of spades, and when he checks, I think it's a good spot to continue betting to protect my hand, and I put out $80, and he thinks it through for a little bit and lets it go. Last interesting hand to note, we are playing 8-handed. Low jack raises to $20. Small blind calls. I call from the big blind with 3-4 of clubs, and we go 3 ways to a flop of 7-5 deuce with 2 clubs. So I flop a very high equity holding. Small blind checks. I check. Low jack C bets $45 with over $1,100 back. Small blind calls with roughly $400 back. And it's a good spot to go for a check raise, so I make it $185. Low jack calls, and the small blind folds. So we're playing roughly 1k effective as we go to a turn of a king of spades. So a pretty good card overall, as unless he has pocket kings, it's going to be very difficult for him to continue with hands such as pocket 8s through pocket queens. And I'm looking to go 3 streets if I need to continue repping any of the 3 flop sets with my hand here. So I bet $270 to set up a roughly $700 river jam. Luckily, it doesn't come to that as he folds his hand. So just 6 hands in today's session. Hopefully the quality makes up a bit for the lacking quantity. Got in the game for $1,100 and out for $1,705. So book a $605 win, which I will take being on a hangover. And that's gonna do it for this one. And I'll see you all on the next one.